Welcome to That Entrepreneur Life, a podcast about entrepreneurship that takes you from idea to launch and beyond. Each week, your hosts, Andrew Lees and 𝗕𝗲𝗏𝗏 discuss different business topics aimed at adding value to any entrepreneur's journey.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of That Entrepreneur Life. I'm 𝗕𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏, and we have a very special guest on the show today. She's an attorney turned happiness coach, and she knows the true success starts within. You'll definitely want to stick around to see how she can help you transform your mindset and business. But before I introduce our special guest today, I want to remind you to subscribe to our podcast and to our mailing list through our website, so you don't miss out on all the free resources we have to help you start and grow your business. With that said, I'd like to welcome our guest, Becky Morrison, to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Clint. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm excited. And I mean, I really appreciate your time. Like I said offline just a second ago before we hopped on and started recording. But anytime we get individuals, we have a large demand right now for being on our show. We're booked out. I mean, we're so many episodes ahead too, and we're booked out, which is a good problem to have, right? But it also, through the vetting process, sometimes people don't make it through, right, initially. But again, I'm small business minded. You know, it's not that I have a problem with the larger businesses and stuff like that, but as an entrepreneur, that's where my mindset's been. So I always like to keep in mind and look at different aspects from different people that we can bring on the show that can add value to what our entrepreneurs and listeners are, can get out of it on a weekly basis.
Awesome.
And so, Becky, with all that said, can you take us back, our listeners back, and myself to when your entrepreneurial journey actually started and what it is about entrepreneurship that really gets you fired up on a daily basis?
So you asked that question and I'm sitting here thinking how I'm going to answer. And my first answer was going to be, well, I started my own business. I'm in year 3 now. So 3.5. 2.5 years ago. And so that was going to be my answer. But the reality is that my journey towards entrepreneurship probably started well before that, right? Like I had the experience of working in big organizations and what that looks like. And then, closer to 6 years ago, I made the switch to working for a small investment firm that while not exactly entrepreneurial, gave me my first taste of what it looks like when your actions have immediate impact. And that's where I caught the bug. I was like, I want to do more of this. I want to do more of the work where I can see the outcome of the actions that I take, where I'm free to make quick decisions and where I really get to be part of setting the path for the work that I'm doing. So that's really where I would say that switch got flipped. And then I did that for a handful of years and then made the leap from that to having my own business.
Yeah, I love that answer. I mean, when you look at it, it seems like when you're larger corporations, nothing against that, right? We need individuals that do that are in the corporate world, that love the 9 to 5, that love the grind. But I really think it's the lack of communication in a lot of these organizations from the bottom to the top, to where and the vision, right? Is the vision really being displayed and really pushed down to the lowest individuals? So when they know they go to work every day, they know they're making an impact. Like, I got it. If you're in accounting or whatever department you're working in inside of a corporation, you're contributing in some way, but do you really know that vision? Is it really inspiring to you to like get up every day and do the same thing? And I really think when you come down to it, my wife's in the corporate world, so, it's one of those things, but you hear a lot of thank God it's Fridays, right? Like, and I hate that mindset, right? I mean, I got it. You're sitting there busting your butt every day. You're working 9 to 5. If you're on a salary, if you're paid hourly, great. But I mean, it's like you can work so many different hours and then nothing to show for it, right? The fruits of your labor. It's like, man, I'm on salary, so I really have I have a ceiling, right? I can't bust through that. I can't go any higher. But I think as an entrepreneur, really, when you think about it, the ball's in our court. The more we do, the more we set ourselves up and put processes in place, that sets us up for more success. And we can, like, oh, say you made $100,000 this year, right? Like, okay, now I can actually, if I work harder or do something or gain more clients this year, now that can be higher instead of stuck at this, whatever it is. And now the next time around, I might get a 2% raise. I mean, that for me, that's for the birds. So,
yeah, I mean, look, you already said it, right? So I'm a lawyer turned happiness coach, and I work with people on the entrepreneurial side, and I work with people who run medium companies, and I work with people who are in more traditional corporate settings. And every single one of those people really comes to me because they're in a place where they need to redefine for themselves what success looks like. And so do they feel limited in their current position? And that happens to people in corporate for the reasons you described, but it can also happen in the entrepreneurial world. We can get in this mindset of like, oh, I made X this year, and if I don't make more than X next year, I haven't succeeded. But dollars aren't the only measure of success. And so really getting clear on what drives our personal happiness, our personal fulfillment, and what our personal definition of success is, regardless of where we're sitting for a job, is critically important, I think, to our overall happiness.
I would totally agree to that. I really think that to find something that you're passionate and motivated about, regardless if, again, like you said, success is defined by people in different ways. Right. It might be monetarily for you, right? Like, okay, I got to make this benchmark of money. It might be having the flexibility and freedom, right? To do what you want, like to spend more time with your kids. So you're not doing the 70 something hours a week or whatever it is, where, you're so exhausted by the end of the week or the end of the day that it takes everything in your power just to spend time with your kids or your family and want to even be there and present in the moment. And I really think, again, you're exactly right. You can get lost as an entrepreneur too, right? Like but I think putting processes in place on top of finding something you're passionate and something that you love makes a huge impact. Like you can get things worked out, right? You can fix those bugs, and you can be the one that influences that compared to like passing it up to your boss and be like, hey, we need to boost
what are you going to do with this?
Here, right? Like, I'm struggling right now. I don't know what to do. And you can't have that. Like, you're waiting on them to make that decision. Maybe they do it. Maybe they don't. But I mean, I love that, that mindset. And I really think, again, we've had a guest on the show in the past, which, look, people's views differ and everybody's different. Right.
Yep.
Like I might see something, you come at a different angle. And that's why it's very important. And I think we had a guest early on in when we started doing this podcast. It was like, look, I don't really believe in like, I have to do something that I love or, that motivates me every day. What motivates me is money. And so because I have processes worked out, I can get in any niche, any whatever, and I'm fine with it. And I move forward. And again, that's his preferred method and how he's bringing wealth in, and he's fine with that. And he doesn't care if it's something that, it's maybe, a ballet class for a guy. And he's just like, man, and I'm nothing against guys that like ballet, right? But it's like, he might invest into a ballet studio, but because he has processes that he knows will make it successful, he's doing that because he knows he's going to make money off of it. And if it's something he's like, I'm not going to get down in the weeds. I hire people to get down on this stuff I don't want to mess with, which is what you exactly need to do. But man, it's like, I love hearing different points of view. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Find what you're passionate about and do what you love.
Well, and I mean, I think like in defense of your previous guest, he did find what he was passionate about. He was passionate about making money.
Yep.
And the cool thing is, as people, we get to choose that.
Exactly.
The hard part is that the world likes to fill in that blank for us.
They do.
The world likes to tell us what we're supposed to be passionate about, what we're supposed to care about, what that's supposed to look like. And I mean, at the core of the work that I do is really helping people identify what their top priority is, and then owning that top priority unapologetically. So if money is your top priority, if that truly is a motivator for you, it is truly what brings you joy because it comes with freedom or it allows you to do X, Y, and Z, right, or whatever the reason behind it is, awesome. Own it. Yeah. And then live intentionally in that direction. But I think where we get into trouble is when we say it's one thing, like we say it's money, but it really is impact, or we say it's money, but it really is passion and purpose. And then we're trying, like your focus is split. You're trying to pull yourself in two different directions. There are going to be times when those two things conflict. You don't have the tools to make the choice because you haven't committed. And so it's really about getting super clear on how you're wired and letting go of all the shoulds that come at us, that tell us how we should be wired.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think about that all the time. It's like, you know, I really think as individuals too, we don't really know ourselves. A lot of individuals, right? I'm not saying
no, it's true.
Like we're sitting there chasing this dream or chasing the rabbit or chasing this idea or this goal or this dream, but in our relationship, but we truly don't know what makes us happy. We don't truly know what makes us tick. And I really think, again, and I really love how some of our past guests talk about being present in the moment and just taking time and understanding yourself. Like, and I just think because everything that goes on in the world, from social media, where a lot of people are highly influenced now, right? About how people look or whatever their presentation is. It's like, we get caught up in all this nonsense, how many likes we have, how many shares our video has, whatever. But you don't know when an individual, whatever you post on social media, when an individual comes by, you might not have many likes or views, but you don't know how big of an impact somebody might just later on a simple post that they'll come across. And it's like, hey man, like they'll randomly reach out to you and be like, dude, I saw a video that you recorded like 2 years ago, and I just wanted to reach out and talk about how big of an impact. But again, it's coming back and just staying committed, staying consistent, but really getting that clear vision of knowing who you are and what makes you happy. And I don't think, I know really that we don't sit there and reflect and know ourselves truly, you know, like if you can pick one thing or two things that would just make you content and happy for the rest of your life right now, what would it be? And I'm telling you, people will have such a hard time deciding on what that is. So if they choose money, right, it's like, I might be depressed now because I have this much money or whatever, and I don't know what to do. Like,
yep.
And that's not always that makes them happy, right? So money's not always equal to happiness.
No, and it's so interesting because, I mean, when you ask people, or when I ask people, what makes you happy? Tell me some things that make you happy. I get typically one of two answers. One, I get the real surface answer, like money or vacation or time with my family. And it's not to just detract from the value of those things, but that's not actually, those are like the frosting on the top of the cake, right. Not really the essence of your happiness. Or I get people saying, well, and they don't know. They really don't have an answer to that question. Yeah. And you're right that we don't give ourselves the opportunity to really connect with our happiness on that deep level. And so one of the things that I like to do with people is ask them, so let's say their answer was money. I like to ask them, tell me what it is about money that makes you happy.
Right.
And the answer is going to be different for everybody. And so, you know, like you talk about that previous guest who was really, you know, this is what I do. I make money. Okay, well, why? What is it? And maybe his answer would have been, well, it gives me the freedom to do anything, you know, time freedom. Well, what is it about time freedom that makes you happy?
Right.
You know, and you really have to go like 3 to 5 layers below to really figure out what's at the root of your happiness. And then once you have once you have that essence, then you can figure out how to incorporate more of it into your life.
Yeah.
And maybe that looks like making more money, but how else might you be able to have that time freedom or to have the impact or whatever it is that money gives you?
Yeah, you're so right about the layers. I mean, it's like an onion, right? It just keeps like once you peel back and you really understand. And I really think, again, everybody just gives that broad surface level, same thing. I just want to have freedom. I just want to make money. I want to be whatever it is. It's like, I just want to have a big house. I want to, it's like, but like, what is it really? Like, once you start peeling back and it's like, okay, you can start seeing how things are connected through the spider web, right? Like, it's just like, okay, if I move this here or really start thinking about it, okay, well, maybe it's this, but it does connect to that. Right. And it's, and it's funny that like when you actually look down on it and you start looking at yourself and you actually have that outer body experience and you're like, okay, well, let me take a step back. Let me just like, okay, is what I'm doing right now truly making me happy? And what is that happiness? Like, what is it? The money? And asking yourself, and I think it really comes down to questions and asking yourself, like, what is it? And just continuing to ask yourself that, because you might, when you ask yourself initially, it might be that broad surface level answer. Right. And then like, I'm sure that's why you coach this type of stuff, right? To really like get in and like, okay, got to give me something else. Like, was there something that happened in your life or something that you were exposed to or something that you've came across that really like got that etched into your brain because it stemmed from somewhere. Right. And I really think at some time you got to peel back that onion. And I love how you mentioned the layers portion there.
Well, and I would just say too, like, take your example of the big house. It is not uncommon for somebody to answer something like that. And when we peel back the layers, what the answer becomes is, when I have the big house, I will know I have arrived.
Right.
They don't even actually want the big house.
Right.
They just want an outward indicator that they've been, quote unquote, successful enough.
Right. Right.
And that, knowing that is powerful, because then you can unlock, well, how else might you know that you're successful enough that doesn't require you spending, 6 to 7 figures on a house that you're not that attached to.
Right. Same thing with the Lamborghini, right?
Yeah.
It was like, or whatever car you're like, and it's just like, like, is that really okay? It might be temporary happiness that you're like, okay, I got this thing now. I know I arrived. And it's like, again, that's not always the case.
Yep.
So, I mean, and knowing that you're like attorney, what did you learn as an attorney working in large law firms that you've been able to apply to entrepreneurship and to what you're currently doing? If anything.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think, look, there's no question that having a legal background has made certain aspects of entrepreneurship way easier. I'm not intimidated by contracts. I'm not intimidated by legal formation. I'm not intimidated by, thinking about potential legal risks as you set up a business. That's all part and parcel to what I've learned and the world I've operated in. And, interacting with other entrepreneurs who don't have the same background, right? That can be a real source of intimidation. Yeah. I don't have that. So that's one piece I think that background has helped with. But I actually think from a coaching perspective and from a true work that I do perspective, one of the biggest gifts that I got two gifts that I got as an attorney is, one, really being able to explain complicated concepts in a simple, approachable, practical way. Because I worked both as an antitrust litigator, which is complicated economic litigation, and I worked as a legal technologist. And so I often was translating between business and technology, between clients and technology. And so I really got good at understanding and putting in plain language difficult concepts, which has helped in the work that I do. And the other one is sort of pattern spotting, or what we in law school in particular call issue spotting, being able to take a mess of facts, pull the important ones and spot a pattern, and really like get to the heart of the matter and boil it down to an issue or a question that needs to be addressed so that we can solve a problem.
I love that. I really think, like you just said, you're able to simplify things now because, like legal jargon, I mean, it makes your eyes cross for a lot of people like me, like, that is not educated on that side of the house. And I really think, but knowing that, and like you just said, knowing that you have to simplify really when you're educating somebody too.
Yes.
Because again, whether it's digital marketing in the space I am, whether it's the happiness side of everything, but really being able to say, okay, like these are the terms that I typically use. But let me simplify this. So you're not coming in thinking like I'm trying to teach you Spanish or some foreign language that you've never heard of, and your eyes start crossing and you're like, okay, what does that mean? And I really think that gives you a huge leg up when it comes to the education process for your clients, to where you're like, okay, not want to say dumb down because, you don't want to insult anybody, but it's really like, gotta just simplify things. And sometimes it's like, that approach is so helpful because it gets you that trust a lot quicker, right? Because you're like, okay, well, I need to educate clients. And I really think if we, as entrepreneurs, if we really are in, just adjust our mindset, and it's like, it's not about making money. It's about educating people, because if I educate people enough and they start listening to me, they're actually going to start paying me for my advice, you know? So I really love that portion.
Yeah, no, and it's true. And the reality is nobody likes to feel, I'll use the word dumb, right? Like nobody likes to feel like they should understand, but they don't know. And there's so much jargon and words, like even as you come from a digital marketing background. When I talk with somebody about that stuff, I'm not super well versed, but I don't want to be the idiot who's like, wait, how does SEO work? Like, I know that search engine optimization, but like, what does that actually mean? And like, not more important than what it means. What does it mean for me? What do I need to know about it?
Yep.
To be able to buy or to be interested in buying your services. And so it's like being able to put it in language. It's not dumbing it down, but put it in language that an uneducated consumer isn't going to feel like, I don't want to ask the question, you know?
Right.
I don't want to be the one person who's like, I've heard of SEO a lot, but like, what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really, and this is how I approach my clients in a lot of ways. I'm like, look, guys, if you're unsure about something, or if you want me to explain something, if you want me to educate you on something, because I'm going to try to do that along the way and let you know. But I don't want to insult your intelligence, because you might have heard this and you might have researched things on your own. So let me know when I really need to do this, and I'll start doing it. And then you're like, well, I know what it is. And I'm like, okay, well, hey, if you want to circle back around, or if I need to explain something, you know, in more simplified terms, so you better understand why this is important and why it's beneficial to you.
Yep.
Just let me know. And I really think when you put the ball in their court, it empowers them, one, and two, it's like, again, you don't want to insult anybody. And I just tell them, like, look, I don't want to insult you right off the bat, but I don't know how much you know about this, or why, you know, I want to explain why when I do my audits or whatever I do for a client, I come back and try to explain, this is why I'm recommending this, and it'll help you this way. Right.
That's the big thing. Is like, what's the practical impact to me?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Because I think a lot of people get salesy, and it turns clients off, right? Like for me, I'm huge when I go to a car dealership. Like, and I know, right? They're trying to fly around like vultures and sell you the next biggest thing, the next best thing that's on the lot. But I'm just like, I just want to look, and I want to make the decision on my own. I don't want to be influenced or impacted by anybody. So I really think it comes down to empowerment. I always tell the guys when they roll out in their golf cart and they're like, can I help you? I'm like, I'm good, man. I'm looking. When I'm ready to talk, I'll approach you. And I really think at the end of the day, again, I take that approach because I don't like being sold to. So I really think education and just letting people know, and just really, how can I help you? That's it. You know, it's like when I write, like, how can I actually help your business? I pull back the layers for the clients. I do audits, and then I'll see, like, this is where I see that you need help. And again, I'm sure you do a similar process. You know, you probably have a checklist or whatever that you go through, that you start identifying things that you can actually have an impact and help them, because their problem might not be their actual, what they think's their problem.
90% of the time,
you know, the underlying real issue.
Yes. Yeah, no. And it's interesting because I've just recently been thinking about sales. And when I started my business 2.5 years ago, I was like, oh, I don't know sales, until I realized that I've been selling my whole life. Inside of my law firm job, when I was on the admin side, I was selling projects and ideas to our leadership. I was selling them to the teams who needed to do them. I was selling services to clients as a lawyer. I was selling vegetables to my kids. You know, we sell all day long, but we get this idea that like sales has to look a certain way. And I like to think about sales, like you said, as an education process. Or for me, I really approach sales as a coaching process. When I'm talking about working with an individual on their happiness, I'm not trying to sell them my services. I'm trying to give them the information to understand what it is that I do, and then get the information from them to understand if we'd be a right fit to work together. And then letting them conclude, yes, this is the support I need right now. Because this kind of work, this kind of deep sort of emotional work that I do is not something I want to force people into. That would be a nightmare for them and for me. And I think so much of sales is about that right fit and is about that education and is about that service mindset, like, or servant maybe mindset. And it was a big deal for me when I like made that connection and realized, oh, sales is just more of what I'm already good at. Cool. Right. Like, let's go sell.
Yeah. But I really like kudos for figuring that out. Right. Because like, so I have a military background. I was in the Army for 10 years. And like a lot of people that get out, like I was an officer in the Army, and then a lot of people get out and like, how can I use that? Right? Like I was an infantry officer at that. It was like, I wasn't military intelligence. I wasn't anything. Like I was on the front lines and I was out there with my guys. And it was like, I had so much leadership experience from that and organizational experience and structurally knew how to do, go out and plan successful missions. It's like, once you actually take a step back, because there's so many guys that have that mindset that they get depressed when they get out and it's a huge problem, right? Like nobody's telling me what to do anymore. Like I'm not striving for the same goal as A or B now. But when you really take a step back, you got like, you gotta, again, know yourself. Mm-hmm. And know what you just did. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I was responsible for millions of dollars worth of equipment and led 40 some odd troops into combat on missions daily and did A, B, C, D. And it's just like, once you are able to start connecting the dots, and I just think they struggle with that because they get so caught up in what they actually did, right? Like I was carrying around a gun, whatever it was, I was carrying around a gun. And that's, but like what? You were a squad leader. You led troops. You were actually a leader. And so once you start, like, it's a simple mindset switch to where you go in and start unlocking and start looking, okay, what were you responsible for on a daily basis? And I really think, again, people struggle with asking themselves those questions. And it seems easy, but when they don't know what questions to ask, right, like themselves, mm-hmm. That's where they struggle, because it's like, I was in infantry. I don't know nothing. I didn't do anything. It's like, dude, like you're so discrediting yourself that I don't know what is going through your mind right now, but we got to work on this, because like you did a lot more than you're actually giving yourself credit for. You were responsible for so much lives at the least, right? Is like, keeping the guy to your left and right alive, and just see how that can translate onto like what you did like on a daily basis, right? You have checks, you have all these things that you go through that, man, I don't understand for me. And that's why I reach out to a lot of people now. It's like that come out. It's like, what did you do? Just give me some, and then you can come up with a resume that will blow people's minds. Yes. But they struggle in that aspect because they just don't see it.
Yeah, no, that's right. And let me first start by saying thank you for your service.
No,
I appreciate that. And that is a great sort of like, I want to say micro, and I don't say that to minimize it, but like example of how of that disconnection we have with self, and how we fail to appreciate what we are doing, and sometimes what our superpowers are. Like often when I'm talking with clients, and I find a lot of them in career transition, right? And so we are talking about like, what are you good at? And the good at thing that often gets lost is the thing that comes so naturally to you that you assume everybody else can do it too, but they can't. It does not come naturally to them. It's that thing that your friends or your colleagues consistently say, man, like, I don't know how you do that. Like, how do you do that? That's so cool. We just think it's like so second nature to us. Those are often our biggest superpowers. And really getting people to recognize that and then own that as a superpower, which is like a huge mindset shift, because it's a thing that like, it's like being right-handed, it's like so part of who you are that you can't appreciate the specialness of it.
Yeah. It's just so easily overlooked, right? It's like when something comes naturally to you, you think it comes naturally to everybody. And that's not always the case. I mean, from communication, then I really think that's the most terrible part when it comes to just businesses or anybody in general. It's like, if you can have good open communication and you're able to get your point across, you're going to be fine. It's the not it's the wondering and not being able to talk, or thinking you're asking a dumb question, when it's like, I tell my clients all the time, the only dumb question is the one that's not asked.
That's right.
Right. And I really think, and I tell them, I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like, seriously, if you have a question and it's something that's natural to me, right? That's why I'm here to educate you, because I know as a business owner, you're not doing digital marketing every day. So it's not natural to you. So if you have a question, or if you don't know what something means, ask, and I'll explain it to you. Right. So it's the whole overlooking what comes natural to us, or what we know already and we do it every day. It's the thing. It's like, that's where they struggle at identifying. Right.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's right. And it's easy to lose sight of that. And it's easier even to lose sight of that in a world where we have so few moments where we're just with ourselves.
For sure.
And really thinking about what's going on in our heads and in our hearts and where we are. Yeah.
Yeah. And that comes to a good point. We need to check ourselves, right? We need to have that time to where we need to at least set aside. And I really think like journaling is a good thing, or whatever works for you, right? Meditation, just something that gets you to where you can be present in the moment, something to where it doesn't have to be a long period of time, because people are like, I don't know how to meditate. It's like, just sit there.
Yeah, literally just sit in the quiet.
Exactly.
And I'll give you a couple of like little places you can grab quiet in a lot of places. You can grab quiet. Like I have the kid pickup job from school a couple times a week.
Yeah.
Inevitably, I'm waiting in a line of cars. I could pick up my phone and check my email or look at social media. I could listen to the radio, but I've started turning off the radio and just being quiet.
Yeah.
That's a chance to connect with yourself.
Yeah.
When you park at the grocery store and you park at the end of the parking lot, take a walk with your mind and nothing else. That's a chance to connect with yourself. I even know a couple of coaches who work very heavily with hospital employees. They suggest when they get in the elevator, it's a chance to breathe and really focus in on your body, your breathing, yourself, your mind, not thinking about where you're headed next, what you're going to do next, what's for dinner, what you have to pick up on the way home or whatever. Just be with yourself for just 30 seconds.
Love it.
We don't do it enough. And the more you do it, the more you reestablish that connection.
Yeah. It's just bringing back to that, like, that center, like centering yourself. And again, I think we're just always on the go. And I really think, like I said, we just need to check ourselves more and make sure, because if you think, just like you just pointed out, we have the time. There's so many times where we can do it and sit there. You know, you just ordered food through a fast food drive-through. You're waiting, especially if you go to like somewhere like Chick-fil-A, where they always have.
Yeah, you're waiting a minute. Yep.
You have plenty of time to sit there and think. I mean, they do get you out pretty good, but you do have some time to sit there and center back and be like, okay, and just connect with self. And I really think identifying those points in time, or really just putting that on your schedule. If you're a person that makes a schedule, and just saying, okay, when I wake up, I have plenty of, like, if I work out or whatever you do, you have that time to do it. Just make it do it. We all have the same amount of time in the day, and you might work more hours or whatever it is, but we do have some time to connect ourselves, at least 5 to 10 minutes at a minimum.
And I will just add, if you're a person who carries, and I'm holding up my smartphone, your smartphone will tell you how many hours you've interacted with it in any given day or week and doing what. You can look at that and know where you might be able to reclaim some time.
For sure.
You can look at that and know, I don't need to spend 2 hours a week or 2 hours a day or whatever the number is on Facebook. I can reclaim 10 minutes from that time to spend a little time journaling or meditating or reconnecting with myself. And that can be a cue, like, oh, I'm going to click on Facebook. No, I'm not. I'm going to breathe.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. When you get that urge, just like, okay, boom, that's my reminder. Put it down.
Yep. Put it down. Take a breath. And if you still have time and you still want to go on Facebook after you've spent, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes with yourself, by all means, but you're right. And that cannot be the excuse as, well, I don't have time for that. I'm real busy.
Oh, for sure.
I think your phone will tell you differently for most of us.
100%. I would agree. So Becky, happiness is something we work on. I don't think we work on enough. but it's something that we work on or at on a daily basis, right? Or trying to find that, especially if you're in search of happiness. And it can be so important to our success, both personally and in business. So with that said, what advice can you give entrepreneurs who may be struggling with happiness right now and balancing that work-life balance? Because that is one of those things that's hard for, I know entrepreneurs and I know people that are working the 9-to-5 grind in the corporate world.
Yeah. So I have a couple of thoughts. And the first is one that has been coming up a lot in my work recently is people will come to me and say, I'm unhappy. I need to get out of situation, the project, the job, the relationship, whatever. And it's become very clear to me that actually what's better is to figure out how to make a difficult situation temporarily workable so that you can architect your future happiness instead of trying to escape unhappiness. When you're in an escaping unhappiness mindset, you tend to settle. You tend to settle for the thing that looks shinier or brighter, the thing that maybe meets, half of what you need, but it just has the one or two things that relieve the pressure of the current unhappiness. And so that's step one is really like, what can we do in your current situation to make it more livable?
Yeah.
And that starts by taking stock of what's actually taking your time and energy and resources in your current situation. And I find with a lot of, particularly my entrepreneurial clients, it becomes this, well, I have to, well, I should, well, I need to, without really ever being intentional about what am I building here?
Right.
And what do I actually need to spend time on? There's this, I think, mistaken belief that if we work more, we will automatically have more.
Yeah.
I believe if you work more intentionally, you will have more. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to work more hours. And you've hit on some of it. You've talked about processes. You've talked about support. It is about really taking stock of what you have and what you need to move it forward that isn't just about doing for doing's sake.
Right.
And then when you can stop some of that, because we're all doing it in certain ways, when you stop some of the doing for doing's sake, you create some space. And then you can think about, how do I fill that space with things that add to my happiness or things that bring me more balance?
Right. I agree 100%. I really think so important to again, just to bring it full circle, to identify that stuff and really know self. And I love that. I really think that in itself creates that 360 to where you can bring around the happiness that you're searching for.
Yep. And when you know yourself and when you know what drives your happiness, when you're in a difficult patch, it happens, right? Like the project goes south, you lose the client, you have a personal, hit, you have a health issue, whatever it is. When you know where your happiness is coming from, you can inject it back into your life, even in those difficult times. Like if you know that deep connection with other people feeds your soul and you just lost a client, it's time to pick up the phone and connect.
For sure. 100%. I really think, again, like you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's so important, right? To once you find out what is your true happiness, there's so many obstacles, so much clutter that is gonna try to throw you off the rails, right? Like that get in your way, and just life happens. But it's knowing that, where you can circle around and knowing what makes you happy, or knowing what brings that to you. You can, like you just said, inject it back into your life. And again, you were temporarily derailed, but you're back at it right now. Now you're where you're where you need to be. The journey's going to continue, and you just sit there and embrace it, and then be present in the moment. And so I really like what you said there.
Yeah. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to have that sort of menu to choose from. And if the menu looks like cash, a house, a car, and vacation, maybe you can take a day off, or maybe you can inject that quickly. But if it looks like connect, reflect, move my body, that you can do at the drop of a hat.
For sure. No, I love that, for sure. So through your entrepreneurial journey, everything that you've experienced, I know you're, 2.5 or 3 years in, from the highs and the lows that you've experienced to date, what has been the most difficult thing so far for you about being an entrepreneur?
I think there's two things. I think one I solved in pretty short order, but I realized pretty quickly that being an entrepreneur can be very isolating. And so I've worked very intentionally to build a kind of a community of coworkers, if you will, who are other entrepreneurs who I connect with on a regular basis. And that's made a huge difference. And so we can, I mean, I have a couple people who I come together with once a week, two people once a week. And we're able to talk about like, what are you struggling with? What have you learned? How are you feeling? Are you ready to quit today? Because we all have those days where we're like, is it going to work out? And just having that support and having that camaraderie has been huge. And it's different than having friends. Like I have friends, but I really think about these people as colleagues. Like we are co-building our separate businesses together. And then I would say the other thing that's been a learning process for me is that there is no one formula for success or for how to build a business that works, because there is no one formula for happiness.
Right.
And so because that's unique to you, the way that you're going to build your business is unique to you. And I come from like a super high achieving background. So when I launched my coaching business, I was like, okay, so this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to have one-on-one clients, and then I'm going to have, evergreen income through a course. And then I'm going to have, and then I was like, wait a minute, what do I want to do? What kind of work do I like doing? What actually feeds my happiness? And I dialed it way back and said, I want to focus exclusively on working with clients one-on-one for now.
Right.
Because that's what I like doing.
Yeah.
And the whole point of starting my own business was to increase my happiness, not to achieve a particular income goal, not to be one of the, biggest, most influential, widest selling coaches. It was to do important, impactful work with people.
That basically, at the end of the day, adds value, right?
Yep.
Because the value, with the value you add, and you're taking how can I help individuals become happy?
Yep.
That in turn is feeding your soul, and also in turn is going to actually get you paid at the end of the day, right? Because you're fully invested. You've educated yourself. You continue to educate yourself, and you're learning as you continue to go. I mean, I really think when we learn something like SEO, right? Like for me, digital marketing, like you tend to stop.
Yes.
Like when I first got, and I knew that was a huge mistake when I first got into my space, is like I learned everything as fast as I could without thinking about, oh, this stuff changes regularly.
Yeah.
And so when I was like, I found myself a couple times like while I was educating a client, re-educate myself because an algorithm changed or a wrench was thrown into this whole process that was like, okay, well, I have to actually pivot on how we do this because the processes and checklists I have, might be okay, but there might not be achieving the results they did 2 months ago.
That's right.
Right. And so it's constant change in the whole process to where you're like, whoa, mind blown. Let's continue to go. So I really think, just continuing to stay at the forefront and knowing what is going on in your space and continuing to do it so you can stay at the forefront of what you do in your customers' minds. I really think that's where it pays off hugely.
Well, yeah. And I think sort of related to that is also just being really cognizant or really focused on not growing for growth's sake. Like just to say you've grown.
Right.
Right. Growing because you're growing in a way that's meaningful to your success.
Right.
That's important. And it's easy to lose sight of because there's this I don't know if this exists broadly in the entrepreneurial space. I suspect it does, but certainly in the coaching world, there's this idea of like, you must always be getting bigger.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Like, I think even in the digital marketing space or whatever space I think you're in as an entrepreneur, it's like, if you're not continuing to scale or continuing to get larger, you're not successful. Right. Yep. But it's like, okay, well, if me having an impact just as a solopreneur or having a small team is what truly makes me happy. So I don't have to juggle 100 employees or whatever it is, where that can get in itself tiring. And now you're having to set up a whole different process of communication. I really think, the people that want to stay small, that's not a that's not the issue. It's the issue of getting over the fact that you're listening to the outside world tell you that if you're not getting larger, right? Like you don't have a legitimate business. And it's just like, no, I'm content with having, 10 to 30 clients or whatever it is in that time. Or I'm content with having 10 to 20 people that I coach on a regular basis because I am having more of an impact on, not only on them, but on what internally.
On me, my life. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, look, like my test for me, like just personally, my litmus test has been, does growth feel expansive or stressful?
Right.
Like overwhelming? Because when I think about like earlier in my business, the idea of like growing and having a team and like running a digital, like that just didn't even feel exciting. Why would I want to do something in my business that I'm choosing to run that doesn't feel expansive? And so, I did one-on-one and that felt delightful. It felt expansive. It felt like I was having an impact. I could see the impact I was having because I'm working with people directly. And I'm about to sort of launch a group coaching kind of membership hybrid, but it feels expansive. Like it feels like the next right level, but it's taken me a little minute to get there. And I've had this sort of like growing pains of this tug of war of I'm supposed to be growing, but I only want to grow in a way that feels expansive.
Yeah. No, I love that. And also, and I really think another key takeaway is what you said a little while ago is as entrepreneurs, and I've been in this boat too, it can feel very isolating.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can find yourself, especially if you work from home or if you're on the go or whatever it is, it's like you're in the office by yourself, especially like you might have a team, right? But you find yourself alone a lot where it's like, you have no one to talk to that can, even if they don't even have to be in your niche, right? Like they can be something to, like you said, finding a group of people that you can treat as colleagues and talk and just invent. And again, like you said, you have your friends, but then you have these individuals that you feel confident in, that you can talk business because even though they might be in a different niche, they're experiencing some of the pain, some of the same struggles. They might vent some of the same frustrations just in different terms, right? But it all comes down to the root. We're all in the same boat together as entrepreneurs. And at some point in time, we're all going to cross the same bridge to where like, oh, I've been there. Or I can relate to that because so-and-so this happened, right?
Yes.
So I love that. So Becky, as we wrap up this episode, I can talk to you forever. I feel like I've known you for so long just after this simple conversation because it's been so natural. As we wrap up this episode, if you could leave our listeners with just one piece of advice, and it could be, a few pieces if you have something, what would it be?
I think we've talked about the most important first step, right? Which is really to find some way in to reconnect with yourself. And for a lot of people, that can be a scary thing because we haven't slowed down to listen and we're sometimes afraid of what we might hear. But I promise you, when you get over that hump of fear and really listen, your life will be better for it. And so really, if you do nothing else after listening to this episode, take 5 or 10 minutes today and just sit with yourself and ask some questions.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, where does my happiness come from? See what comes up and don't edit. That's the other thing. Don't second guess what your answer is. Just capture it.
Yeah.
And let it sit. And try that today and see what happens. That would be my piece of advice.
I love it, Becky. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap for this episode. And if my co-host was here, from the both of us, we would like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us and adding value in what we're doing on our podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
It's really been a pleasure, Becky. Like I just said, thank you all so much for listening to That Entrepreneurial Life. To learn more about what Becky is working on, check out untangledhappiness.com. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe to our podcast and don't forget to download our free ebook about the success mindset at thatentrepreneuriallife.com. Thanks for continuing to support what we do as entrepreneurs, and don't forget to join us next week for another episode of That Entrepreneurial Life.
Thanks for listening to That Entrepreneur Life podcast. Be sure to visit thatentrepreneurlife.com to join the conversation, access our show notes, and discover our fantastic bonus content. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode as we continue to add value. Until next time.